Economic Empowerment Wisconsin. This is happening. Finally, it's a thing. What's up? And before I get into what it is, I want to talk about why we're doing this thing. And a lot of you who are already here have been here before, and you know what's up. But for the folks who don't know, and for those who are going to be seeing this after this live recording, I want to talk about the reason why we need something like Economic Empowerment Wisconsin. So first off, when this idea came to the surface as a result of us doing needs-based resource development. I'll talk about who the we and the us is in a second here. But we noticed that so many entrepreneur service organizations did not know about each other. And that's a huge challenge for an entrepreneur who is just getting to know about a single resource, let alone the plethora of resources that they may need. So organizations not knowing about each other is a huge problem. How can we expect entrepreneurs to know which organizations they need? And furthermore, understanding that Wisconsin is dead last, tends to be dead last over the years as it relates to venture capital funding. That's for the population as a whole, but Wisconsin and Madison, for people of color, we're an even smaller percentage of that. So I think it's 1% in terms of the venture capital dollars that come to Wisconsin out of the whole US, and entrepreneurs of color are less than a percentage of that. So the struggle is real for entrepreneurs of color, and we want to make it easier, not harder. So being able to connect with organizations is a huge part of that. The second part is that when it comes to entrepreneurs connecting with each other, we all understand the value of a peer support group, a peer network. There's a saying that you are a combination of the top 5 people that you spend the most time with. And so many of us, when we embark on an entrepreneurial journey, it feels like we're going at it alone. It feels like we're the only ones doing this, and some of the challenges that we face, it almost seems like we're the only ones having that challenge. So there's a strong need for us to have a community of entrepreneurs that can share stories, identify resources that they've shared, that they've received, that they've found, and also share some of their challenges that they've encountered as well and how they overcame those. So there's a strong need for an entrepreneur network. And thirdly, bringing these two networks together, the resources, the organizations, and the entrepreneurs, bringing those together in a happy communion through active needs-based resource development. So we have organizations doing their thing, we got entrepreneurs doing their thing, and so many organizations are missing the entrepreneurs that fit their criteria, and so many entrepreneurs are missing the organizations that fit their need. So where is the service that brings these groups together so that they can live happily ever after? That is what we're accomplishing with Economic Empowerment Wisconsin. Gotta give a huge shout out and appreciation to Sharon Lesberg for literally freestyling this entire diagram that we see here in a single meeting. It was quite prophetic, but to make a long story short, Economic Empowerment Wisconsin is a collective impact effort of collaborators working to decrease barriers to entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship for people of color by developing a continuum of support services through the life cycle of an entrepreneurial enterprise. And so essentially we do that by bringing collaborators together, and what Opportunity Inc., what Great Enterprises, what Eric Upchurch, Sharon Johnson, what we do is we help hold the whole thing together. And essentially we're building this huge network of resources and helping them connect to entrepreneurs, and then identifying gaps in services so that we can take a quantum leap in how we serve entrepreneurs and the results that we see from entrepreneurs of color. And we'll get into how that happens, but I want to share the entrepreneur journey with you. So right now, if an entrepreneur needs help, they have to find out where that help comes from. Then they have to contact that organization, and then they have to find out whether or not they're wrong. They get to figure out oh, does this organization actually meet my need? Is this right for me? Is this the right stage of my business? Some entrepreneurs are homeless. I was one of them. And they walk into WIBIC thinking that they're going to get a business loan for this great new idea that's going to change their life and support their family. And WIBIC says, we can't help you because you're homeless. And that's the end of the conversation. Now, WIBIC does great work. They're not a housing authority. They don't provide housing and shelter. YWCA does. But where is the service that is able to capture that entrepreneur, bring them into the fold and say, hey, here's some resources for you. And let's start at the YWCA. Let's start at a shelter. Let's start at the Salvation Army. So Economic Empowerment Wisconsin is doing that. And we're relying on our collaborators to be that intake, to be that nexus. So in the case of EWI, an entrepreneur comes to WIBIC and says, hey, this is what I need. And they take a needs survey, and that data is used to create a custom resource plan that, in the case of a homeless person or in the case of someone who needs funding, might include the YWCA or some venture capital firm. So the plan is tailored to them, and it identifies resources that they didn't even know were there. Sometimes that the collaborators, the organizations didn't even know were there. So in just this first step, organizations are able to improve the value that they bring to clientele that don't even fit the criteria of the service that they provide. So now WIBIC, even though they're not a housing provider, they can support someone who needs housing and that will eventually come back around and need their services. Does that make sense to the folks who are on the call right now? Okay, I see a head nodding. Right on. So what happens with the resource plan is that EWI connects that entrepreneur and resource plan with a mentor or a coach or a connector, however you want to identify it. Thanks, Connie, for the thumbs up. Mentors look at this resource plan and they grab the hand of the entrepreneur and walk them through connecting to each and every one of these resources. And then we go through the same process again and see what else they need. Now that you have housing, now that you have credit built, now that you have your business plan, maybe it is time to go to WIBIC and apply for a loan. So these are the things that we hope we can study to not just lead to more entrepreneur success for businesses of color, but also to identify areas where we could be working better together to serve more entrepreneurs. Does that sound like a plan? Are folks down for that? Right on. Okay. I'm appreciating these head nods. I think we've been in so many different Zoom meetings, it's kind of hard to break the silence, but I'm appreciating it. So a little bit about me. A lot of you already know me on this call, but for those who are tuning in, I'm the Chief Visionary for Opportunity, Inc., passionate community activist, passionate father. And most of my work is centered around personal development, entrepreneur success, and social justice and community development. And what you see in projects like the Movement Fund or Woke Sessions or the Young Gifted and Black Council of Communities, these are all projects that have served to impact people's lives in one of those three areas. And I'm so, so blessed to have had so many beautiful partnerships and beautiful opportunities to do just that. Now, Economic Empowerment Wisconsin is our way of streamlining this process so that it's not just this ragtag team hustling around every emergency. We can bring more people into the fold. And we attended this back in, what was that, Sharon, 2016, 2017? But the resources were not there to build the interactive resource map that is the glue. That's the thing that functions to create the resource plan for these entrepreneurs and make all of our jobs easier. So to accomplish this, I prayed deep and hard for an angel savior, someone who was going to make this a reality, someone whose passion was aligned with such a cause. And I ran into Sharon Johnson. And Sharon is our Chief Engagement Officer. What up, Sharon? An MBA from the University of Wisconsin, Madison, BS from Purdue University, owner at Gray Enterprises, Lofty Ideas, LLC. She's on the board of Nuestro Mundo, Access Community Health Center, Madison Network for Black professional. She's a president, been a secretary, and has so many skills in sales, marketing, product, project, and program management. She worked with Kraft Foods, Veridian Homes, Stark Realty, and for the state of Wisconsin. And we're so happy and blessed to have Sharon on board as the Chief Engagement Officer. Wonderful title, I love it. And I'm going to shut up and let Sharon tell you more about our committees. Go ahead, Sharon.
Hi, everyone. First of all, I want to say thank you so very much for joining us this afternoon. I did have an opportunity to speak with a few people before this meeting, and I really appreciated talking with you and sharing our vision and our goal for Economic Empowerment Wisconsin. We can go forward, but we can't go forward without you. And so we're looking to share this information with you, and hopefully at the end, you guys become a part of one of the committees that we have. And like Eric said in the beginning, these 3 committees that we have is the glue that brings together the resource map for our entrepreneurs. And so the first committee we have 3: organizations, resources, and entrepreneurs. So I will talk about the next committee, that being organizations, Eric. If we go to the next slide. So here you'll see what we're looking to accomplish with this. We're looking to connect organizations, like he said, like WIBIC and the YWCA and the SBA, and all organizations that exist within Madison and Dane County, so that they all know each other, so that if someone comes to you and you don't provide that service, you know exactly who to connect them with at someplace else. And because this is so important to get that information, we're looking to have at least 12 volunteers in the process to get this going and make sure that we are a well-oiled machine for those entrepreneurs that come to us. To get that going, we're looking, just so you know up front, to have some monthly meetings. Now with the way COVID is going, that's virtual, save some time. And we want to then organize events so that the organizations can come together, as well as the entrepreneurs, and really see face-to-face and connect on that deeper level. And then all of this information that we're gathering in person will be updated to what we call IRMa, the interactive resource map that Eric was talking about, and we'll talk a little bit more as we go through this meeting, and we call it IRMa. So it will basically take on this persona that we will use to connect all the entities together. So that we have, I said, the 12 people that we're looking for to get the organizations together. So if you're American Family or EPIC or any organization, we want to make sure that if you have a target of helping entrepreneurs, we want to be connected with you. The next organization will be resources. Like Eric said, there's people out there who may have a business plan. They may have a business, but they don't have childcare to get to where they need to go. They don't have food. And so we want to make sure that we're connecting people who come in to funding, scholarships, and anything to keep them on the path of success. On this committee, we're looking to have about 7 people. So we're looking, again, just like the other ones, to meet monthly, have an event where we get together and those entrepreneurs can see in person some of the resources that we have available to them, in addition to connecting with them to someone that can help them with a business plan, in addition to someone that can help them get to the next stage of sales. We want to make sure that personally they're okay. And for people of color, those gaps are a lot bigger. So we want to make sure that they come to us to really help them become successful.
Can I chime in a little bit here, Sharon?
Sure. Yep.
Yeah, so I want to go back to the organizations committee. So essentially the reason why some folks have asked why so many, and the reason why we want to focus on 12 volunteers to start. Eventually this is going to be something that, as time goes on and we've demonstrated the value that it receives the support that it needs to hire staff. But for right now, we're looking at 12 folks who can contact a small number of organizations per month. So the reason why we go with 12 is because there are, I want to say, 300 plus organizations that serve entrepreneurs that we know about in the Madison and surrounding area. And that's a lot of organizations to contact, but the value that we add is in the number of resources that we're able to connect entrepreneurs to. So because of that, we need to have a really strong force that is finding those organizations and bringing them into the family by having them, complete the survey that you're in the form that you'll be introduced to after this presentation. So we're figuring that if we got 12 folks, making it a point to contact maybe 1.25 organizations per week. I don't know how you contact 1/4 of an organization, but that's how the math works out. If we get 12 folks doing that kind of work, we can approach that 300 organization reach within a year. So that's kind of, we want to connect to more organizations, but we don't want to burden folks who are just passionate about this and also have their own full-time thing that they're doing.
Thank you. And that's also the same philosophy that we have for resources. We want to make sure that the people that are volunteering are also bringing in resources on a regular basis to input into our system for our entrepreneurs. Anything you want to add there too, Eric?
Only that there are volunteers for the resourcing committee, and then those are not to be confused with the mentors, who are the ones that are actively on the phone with the entrepreneurs or having the meeting with the entrepreneurs. They're actively looking through the resource plan with the entrepreneurs and helping them complete their journey, log their journey, fill out the forms for the different organizations. So now that's not to say that the folks who are on the resources committee cannot do those things, but we just want to separate the two. We're looking for these 7 volunteers to help us connect to more of those folks who want to do the hand-holding with the entrepreneurs.
Exactly. And then of course we have our entrepreneurs committee, and that connects entrepreneurs with each other. So even though they may be experts in different fields, we want them to know that they're not out there by themselves, and to organize a peer group so that they can have that connection as well. And we're looking to have up to 7 volunteers on that committee as well. And they don't necessarily have to be entrepreneurs. They can also be business owners. Eric, you want to add in?
Yeah, one thing that's standing out for me right now is just the 2 to 3 events per year. These are not big, whole, extravagant balls and galas. We're just talking about bringing folks together in a room with some decent food, preferably the edible kind, and some music and an agenda that gets us to connect, ask questions, and identify gaps, resources, opportunities, and just build with each other. So the events, the committee is responsible for bringing these events together, but it's really, really low scale and not a huge, whole production. So a lot of folks I can see being intimidated by that. We're starting simply here. And growing from there.
Yeah, and again, all of this information is going to be uploaded to our resource map or IRMa as we get to know her well. This here's our organizational chart. So we're a very small company coming together, and we just want to share with you that we're not looking for this huge hierarchy of CEOs, VPs, and everything, but we want to really work together with the IT software, which you'll be introduced to him soon, the committees that we want to get together. And as you can see, they connect with IRMa, which will communicate what the mentors and the mentees will see and use to help guide that success of the entrepreneur. Right now at the helm of all this is myself, the CEO, and we're looking to have an administrative assistant to help guide some of all the things that we're going to be doing in the upcoming future. So with that being said, we have the next slide. And we're going to talk about IRMa. On this call, we have Lucas, who is part of Ad Foundry, who is going to walk us through this resource map that we've been talking about since the beginning of this presentation. So now we will switch this over to Lucas. Are you there?
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, Lucas.
It's great to see everybody. So yeah, this program is really amazing. Like I feel like the things that you guys have brought together, the people you've brought together are really incredible, and I think this is going to just serve the community so well. So my partner and I, working with the team here at UE, have put together a new website and a platform to help serve this mission. So let's go ahead and take a look at what that looks like. So I'm going to share my screen here. I think you might have to give me permission.
You're now the co-host.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, this is the new website for Economic Empowerment Wisconsin. And so right away when you jump onto this website, you have some things that are calls to action basically. So are you a mentor, a mentee, a service organization? Just apply. So there's just lots of like options to apply, lots of different data fields like, hey, service providers go here, entrepreneurs go here, mentors go here. So, after this call, it'd be a really good idea. There might be too much to cover in this 10 minutes, but after this call, it'd be a great idea for everyone to just jump on the website or jump on it right now and kind of start looking through it. But basically it gives you a breakdown of what IRMa is and what we're hoping to accomplish and how we can help service the community. But essentially, in order to get into IRMa, all you have to do is apply. And whether you're a mentor, service organization, resource, or mentee, or entrepreneur, as we call them. So the best way to do that, if you want to be part of the committee, would be to go to the About section here, and then jump down to this section. This is where you would apply to be on a committee. So you want to be an organization committee, entrepreneur committee, or resource committee. Then you just select one of these and fill out this information here. And that's when, the administrative assistant or Sharon would reach out to you and be like, oh, okay, let's do this. Like, here's more information, here's what I need from you, and let's move forward. If you, of course, wanted to be a mentor, you can click here under support and apply to be a mentor and just look at more information there. So now that you've seen the website, this program is basically two parts. It's the website and then it's a platform. And so as soon as you apply, you get a link to join the platform, and that takes you over to what we call IRMa. And so let's say, for example, I'm a mentee. And the first thing I want to do when I jump in is look for my mentor, right? So I just click here. Give it a second to think about all the different people that are in the system, and it'll show a list of the mentors that match with the things that I need development in. So when you get a link to join the program, you get this intake survey, and it's like, okay, where are you at? What do you need? What do you need help with, and how can we support you? And so when you fill that information out, that's what matches you with the mentor who has those skills and the capability of really supporting you. And so for this example, let's just match with myself here. And then the other great thing is you can see their profiles. So if I didn't want to match with Lucas, I could go back and try matching with Sharon, for example. I could even match with both of them. Maybe I need support in different ways from these two mentors. But you can see, where do I work? What industry am I in? What stage of ventures do I help? And where can I support this person? And so all I have to do is click match. And now we have developed basically a relationship or a connection. So it's a lot like social media in that respect. But so if I go over to the side of the mentor, I can show you what that looks like. So now that I've matched with Casey, or Casey's matched with me, I can go ahead and open her profile and see what her needs are. So, Casey works in information technology. She needs business help. She wants to work on her marketing and sales and business planning. Right. But she has, marketing, sales, and training experience already. So we kind of get this breakdown of where she's at and what she needs. And then that's where we begin the process of communicating with her, asking her more questions, kind of leading questions to help develop the connection more before we get into a meeting. So you have all these great options here. You can call her, you can schedule a meeting, and based on her availabilities and your availabilities, You can set milestones and goals in this section. You can create learning paths for her. So it's like, you know, Casey, I want you to go learn X, Y, and Z, or you can connect her to learning paths in the system. Then you can add files and resources to your relationship as well. The other great thing is this program isn't just let's connect two people together and have them run with it. It's also an e-learning platform. So you can set up, you know, within the system, we can set up different e-learning paths. So if I wanted to create an e-learning path that's all about marketing 101 or something, we could certainly do that. And that can become something that a mentor's like, okay, Casey, I want you to go learn marketing 101 in the learning paths and come back to me and let's talk about it. So it's very feature rich in that respect. And then if we go to the group section, this is where you're going to find your service organizations, different discussion groups, and things like that. So if you're like a bank, for example, you might have your own section in here that allows you to communicate and to connect with these, you know, these entrepreneurs and these mentors within this section. So, but this is basically just a broad resource for everyone to use, whether you're a mentee, an entrepreneur, or a resource. The other great thing about this program is there is an application. So you can put this on your phone. It's super easy to use, and it has like push notifications and stuff like that. So, you know, just like you're chatting on Facebook or whatever, you know, you get a notification, hey, like your mentee contacted you, had a question, and you can just respond right away from your phone. So it's like a really great feature for, you know, boosting interactivity and just kind of like that, just kind of bridging that social gap that you sometimes get where it's like, oh, they sent me an email, you know, I'll respond to it later, whatever. But it's just like, let's just respond right away on demand and get this person the help they need. So that's really like a general baseline. We do have some videos that we've made to help support this like learning process for you guys, so you can get a kind of a better introduction than the one we can give you right now. But did you, Eric or Sharon, want to share anything else or talk about anything else?
Yeah, Lucas, you signed up as a mentor and signed in, and we have Connie on here, who we signed her up as a mentee.
Okay.
And we just wanted to hear from her briefly, her experience and her ease of use about the program. So everyone, this is Connie.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, it was, it was very user friendly. I will say I'm somewhat tech savvy, but even outside of that, it was very user friendly in terms of me inputting my information, my skill sets, etc. And then literally, I think it probably was in less than 24 hours, I got matched with a mentor. I wasn't quite sure, so I went back to Sharon. I was like, who is this guy? and because he was the only mentor in the system at the point, at the time, that's how I got quickly matched to him. So what in my mindset going forward, I'm an entrepreneur. I would be in that group, and my main resource that I'm looking for at this point would be a line of credit or funding for housing for first-time home buyers. I'm also a real estate agent, but not really looking for funding on that part. But I also have a real estate investment business. And so going forward, as you guys bring more resources into your pool, those are the type of people that I would be, hopefully being matched for. It's pretty streamlined. I can find the properties. I don't necessarily need that aspect. I'm strictly looking for the funding aspect of it. And so a lot of different avenues. There are some avenues I know of myself, the city and the county, and there's lines of credits out there, but always looking for different various of avenues that I can get funding without jumping through a lot of hoops. But back to your process, it was very easy.
Okay, thank you. And our goal is to be able to help a variety of entrepreneurs as they come on, to connect with people that can get the answers that they need. So we're really excited to get started.
Can I ask, Sharon, how are you guys marketing to fill up these groups, these 3 groups?
Well, pretty much what we're starting today is definitely a start in getting connection with entrepreneur services that work with entrepreneurs, and that's where the committees come in.
Okay, I see. Gotcha.
And Eric?
Okay.
Yeah, just to echo a little bit about what Sharon said, we are focusing our work on building the committees right now, Connie, and that includes our Committee of Entrepreneurs. But most importantly, for starters, we want to make sure that as we have entrepreneurs coming through the door, these digital doors, that we have also resources to connect them to. So our primary focus now is making sure that we're building our catalog of resources, and to accomplish that, we're connecting with organizations like Starting Block and University and Law and Entrepreneurship Clinic and WEDC, Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, to build that library of resources so that we can connect entrepreneurs as they come through. So that's step one. And to accomplish that part, we're building our committee. So that's 12 folks. You're an entrepreneur, but you're certainly welcome to be a member of the organizations committee if that resonates with you. And the goal here is to get a group of passionate folks together who can contact, 3 to 5 organizations per month, and bring them into the fold of ELWI. Help us get to know them so that when it comes time for an entrepreneur that needs their services, we can connect them more quickly. And then, so the committees our work is getting the committees full, helping the committees do their work, and then the committees go out and build the networks of organizations, of entrepreneurs, and do the getting our mentors. Does that answer your question?
Yep, thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again, if I'm gonna get to the right one. Okay. We're gonna edit this all out, by the way, when this is when we're promoting this video. Okay, can you see my screen?
I can see your screen.
Okay, so that was Lucas helping us out with IRMa. Thank you so much, Lucas and Ad Foundry team, for doing your thing.
Absolutely.
Lucas is also willing to help with our orientation and just kind of some initial hand-holding to get started as we develop and grow into using IRMa. And we'll also be continuing to partner with Ad Foundry as we iterate this to greater and greater lengths with more bells and whistles. So thank you, Lucas and Ad Foundry team. We heard from Connie Miles and Alex Gish, another part of the team for Ad Foundry. So what's next here? What are we doing next? Well, what's next for us is for the folks who are on this call and the folks who are listening in after this call to go to economisempowermentwisconsin.org and click the button to apply to join a committee, become a mentor, become a partner, and you can donate. We just recently got that feature fixed up. So our purpose here is to start simply. I don't want to say start small. We're keeping things simple to start. And that means, next step for us is get the committee set up. Now we have folks who are already joining these committees. We have some dates that Sharon's going to talk about that we want to have the committees full and have our first orientation. But this is something that we're seeing can expand beyond just what we're doing in Madison, and something that can benefit entrepreneurs of color across the state of Wisconsin, and perhaps even become an example for other municipalities across the nation. So if you want to be a part of that pioneering group, head over to economisempowermentwisconsin.org and click the apply button. Sharon, do you want to talk about some of the next important dates?
Yeah, we want to give ourselves an opportunity to really build and fill up the committees that we've been talking about. So we would love for everyone to sign up by October 15th. Give us an idea. With that information, we'll let you know the time that we plan to meet. More than likely, it will be virtual based on the way things are going today. Once we have everybody signed up, we're looking to have our first meeting on October 21st. The first meeting will be all committees, and then we'll decide on a time and a date that works the best for the majority of the people within the committee, so that we can really start building our data points, so that as entrepreneurs come to us, we don't want to wait to provide them help, but we will continue to help them until we have everything going really smooth and really be able to help them. What's really exciting is by them joining, we can connect them with some of the resources that are out there that provide what they may need. And that's exciting to give them more than one option. So join by October 15th, spread the word. We'll follow up after this, and then we'll have our first meeting October 21st.
Wonderful. And I just want to reiterate and emphasize spreading the word. That's really the most important part here. I keep saying we're starting simply. If a vision of having a streamlined support system for entrepreneurs of color, if that vision is appealing to you, we don't have to think about building the whole infrastructure right now, right away. We have IRMa, the technological piece, and now our work can be as simple as inviting another organization to visit the website, take a look at this video, and come to the committee orientation by October 21st. It could just be, hey, someone reaching out to Starting Block or another organization, HealthX Ventures, and saying, hey, you should talk to Sharon Johnson over there at ELWI and see if this is something that could help you connect to more entrepreneurs or more organizations to serve the entrepreneurs in your portfolio. So really spreading the word. And if everyone on this call could commit to sharing this opportunity with at least 5 organizations in your network, will more than fill our committees and be ready to rock and roll full tilt on October 21st. We're testing things out right now. We've got some entrepreneurs coming through the pipeline. We're building up more organizations. So between now and October 21st, the questions that you ask, the trial and error that you put forth is going to make this that much more of a success when we hit the ground running on the 21st. So with that said, does anyone have any questions for myself or Lucas or Sharon?
So I do have a question. It's Colin from Dane Buy Local. First of all, I like your energy that you have, and you guys have put a lot of work into getting to this point. So thank you for doing that. But how would you say that you are identifying yourself as being different than other organizations out there? So like WIBIC or the Latino Chamber, or there's a myriad of groups out there. How do you stand out from the rest? What makes you unique or different?
Yeah, I can give a stab at that. And Sharon, if you want to piggyback off of that, if I miss anything, I would say there are a lot of organizations that provide training and that provide some resources, Colin. However, few of those organizations are actually successful at serving entrepreneurs of color. So WIBIC, in the case of WIBIC, the Wisconsin Women's in Business Initiative Corporation, is that right? So it's one of those, something like that. And I'm friends with Andrea here in Wisconsin, in Madison. And I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, she confided in me, and this isn't any secret, but she said that most of their loan recipients are still white men. And even though this is technically a minority initiative, the majority of the service goes to white men. I think at the time it was 60%. Now that might be different now, but this case that WIBIC has is not new, and especially in a city like Madison, where you have these organizations that struggle to reach a critical mass of entrepreneurs of color. So that's the first part, is that we're connected in a way that allows us to do that. And we've demonstrated that through partners like the Madison Alliance for Black Economic Empowerment, which served over 400 entrepreneurs of color, connecting them to resources. And sometimes in a single night, we connected a couple of hundred entrepreneurs to resources. So, and they were all entrepreneurs of color. That's something that's been unheard of in Madison, at least, you know, to my knowledge. So that's just the ability to reach the people who need it most, that we kind of stand out there. We've demonstrated our excellence there. The other part is no one that I've seen is really focusing on needs-based resource development. And now it's a term that I have not heard since we started talking about this in 2016. But Colin, needs-based resource development also has to be streamlined if it's ever going to have an actual impact that makes, you know, a real dent in the challenges that we see for entrepreneurs of color here in the city. So too often, the needs-based resource development is a one-on-one conversation with an organization, and we're relying on that individual employee to know about the WIBICs and the extensions and the Law and Entrepreneurship Clinic and the Feed Kitchen and the Latino Chamber and Hispanic Consortium, et cetera. We're relying on that person to know about it and be thinking about it in the moment, and then be present enough and willing to share that information with someone else. Here we have a system that identifies the needs based on the entrepreneur's input, and we're hoping to approach it being exhaustive. So it's not just a conversation and I'm talking with Colin and he remembers, oh, Sharon Lesberg is really awesome, you should go talk to her. No, this is something that is objective, it is systematic, and it automatically produces a list that we then, and this is the third part that sets us apart, the hand-holding. Especially, we found this especially with how we survived, how we helped a lot of businesses survive the pandemic that we're still currently surviving. Even though the processes for relief and resources was pretty straightforward, we're dealing with so much as families, as entrepreneurs, and especially people who are just surviving, that it really did take us literally being on the phone and walking through each and every field of a form. And a lot of organizations will just say, here's the form, fill it out, get it in by this date. But how many organizations do you know that are literally sitting down with an entrepreneur and connecting them to multiple resources, not just the resource that pertains to that mentor's organization that employs them? So those three things, I think, are what set us apart in a major way: connecting to the community that we serve more effectively and efficiently, having this needs-based approach that identifies multiple resources for an entrepreneur, and then hand-holding and connecting that entrepreneur to those resources, and then going back through that journey. The last thing that I'll say is that we're not just connecting entrepreneurs to resource based on need, Colin, we're building this network of organizations that would include the WIBICs and the Latino chambers and the Black Chamber and, you know, et cetera. So the theory is that if we can all have a conversation based on the data that we're getting from these entrepreneur journeys, then we can start to identify ways to improve all of our services and perhaps even ways for us to work together to solve some major issues that we might be missing. So I think it's those three big things, and then the union, the collaboration itself, that is just totally unheard of, at least in Madison, Wisconsin. Did that answer your question? Sharon, do you have anything, did I miss anything, or you got any thoughts there?
That was pretty extensive. That was pretty extensive. And I think in addition to, we're an additional resource, so you can't have too many resources because not everyone's hearing about everything.
Right on, right on.
This is Diana Hammer. I'm a coworker of Sharon Lesberg's in Fond du Lac County with Extension. And hey, thanks for doing this. I'm really, really excited about everything you're saying. And one question that's come up here is people of color have not had great experiences at all economic development institutions in Northeast Wisconsin. I'm curious if how you're addressing that. If somebody, if an organization wants to join as a partner, how are you, or are you vetting is the word that's come up. I don't like that one, but is there some education or philosophy that they're going to need to work real hard to meet to be effective with people that they're not used to working with?
Whew, you are talking about a serious, serious thing. And the short version, the short answer is not right now. Perhaps in the future, but right now we're just saying, let's get the organizations into a spot. And you know, with something like this, we want to. Oh, I'm already thanking you all for your time here. Let me go back. Okay, so with something as serious and as sensitive as this, we don't want to just go into an organization and say, hey, by the way, you should have this kind of cultural responsive training, or, you know, implicit bias training, or racial equity, social justice intervention. We don't know what we're intervening on. But if we can show that, hey, you might keep data on all of the people that receive services from you, but we're keeping data on all of the people that we sent to you, and here's their experience consistently. Let's talk about this and where this challenge is coming from and how we can get better at this specific thing. Because what we find in some of our other initiatives, the Young Gifted and Black Coalition, Council of Communities, is that when we come up with the challenge and we say, hey, this is a problem, everybody, normally an organization that is, I'm sure they're sincere, their response is, well, what's the solution? How do we solve this problem? What should we do? What specifically is the problem? How do we see the problem? Because it wasn't a problem they were seeing before. So my thinking is that we'll be able to identify concrete areas for improvement as it relates to the entrepreneurs that are coming their way. And that will lend to opportunities for growth for that organization. But for now, we don't want to stretch ourselves too thin. We want to focus on being able to provide a resource and then fine tuning that as time goes on.
That makes sense. Yeah, sure. Thanks.
Any other thoughts or questions? Thank you slide is right there. It's right behind everything.
I'm Mia. I also work for Extension, like Diana and Sharon. And I do work with Diana, specifically in Northeast Wisconsin, with entrepreneurs of color and the Color Bold Business Association specifically. I was wondering about the matchmaking with the mentorship programs. We may have access to a lot of entrepreneurs who would be interested in this. I was just wondering, how do you set up ways to not overwhelm the portal with requests? For example, you know, what if there's a realtor that want to be matched with a realtor and they are getting 10 mentorship requests? You know, how do you navigate that? And then also, is there any kind of compensation for the entrepreneurs to participate in this program?
Yeah, I'm going to, I think I'm going to pass this to Sharon, who's been really intimately involved in where we're at right now as an organization and where we may be able to go as time goes on. I think Sharon might have some good insights here.
Yeah, and so this is basically our launch of the company. So initially what we want to do is start getting our database of mentors that are available, so that as the entrepreneurs come on, we have more mentors than we do entrepreneurs, and continue to grow that within the committees, so that we have that variety as well. As far as compensation, that's also a discussion we would have with the committees concerning the entrepreneurs, because one of the goals for the resources is to make sure that we have the funds available to them. We want there to be a buy-in by the entrepreneurs, but we also don't want them to not be able to afford it. So we'll be looking to companies to sponsor entrepreneurs in this process as we guide them through the stages that they're going to go through. So when we work with the committees, we're going to really narrow down our goals, our expectations, and we work with someone who is an expert in mentoring and mentorship. So we're just not doing it blindly, but it's very detailed as to what we're looking for on all aspects of everybody involved.
I have a comment about that too. Is that possible? Can anyone hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
I can hear you. Go
Hello.
forward.
I also am a realtor, and like Connie had mentioned before, I've been a realtor for 20 years, been blessed to be able to help folks. And I too, as an entrepreneur, have done quite a few things. I was in social work for years, and then also childcare provider. And in all those areas, I've just been blessed to organically grow my business without doing much advertising. But in thinking of how we can help perhaps compensate those who are putting in their time, because I know as a realtor, as you mentioned, Mia, the demand is very great just with the clientele that you're hoping one day to get paid from when they're successful purchasing or selling their home, let alone trying to offer assistance and help those people join the field with you.
Yeah.
We're always, most of us are all spread quite thin in everything that we do. But one thing that I think is fabulous in an opportunity like this and what you are proposing is that because we're talking about entrepreneurs, our whole goal with everyone is to become successful, financially successful. And I believe somehow, like Sharon said, there could be like some initial amount to pay to help support the agency by utilizing the services if you're able. But then also, I think the biggest thing, the most fabulous success or side of the success would be if we're able to help someone become successful, maybe they agree to offer some type of compensation with their first reward, so to speak, maybe a portion, a percentage, an agreement to compensate those who've helped them along. So now that is an incentivizes all of us to help that person become successful, because once they're successful, they can give back, if that makes sense.
Oh, no, that does make sense.
Actually,
And that's
something to add to that.
during the committee meetings to finalize that based on what we see, what we need. And that's the glory of this, is we can take something that's worked in other companies and we can make it our own. Right. And make it so that, because we really want to help people of color and they have different challenges. So we can't just copy what someone else is doing, but really take what's unique to us and make it work. Eric, do you have any additional points?
I do. I was thinking I might have a little bit more to add, but you kind of said a lot of it. And I do appreciate your thoughts here about how an entrepreneur can give back. These are models that we've considered, but we also want to make sure that we're co-creating with our committees. Too much too soon complicates things, and people are like, oh, what do I do? What's the first step? So step one is definitely, let's get these organizations into the family and be able to see what service provision looks like at scale. And from there, we'll understand more what the costs are. And then we'll be able to draft I'm giving the full, tentative process. But from there, once we understand what the cost is going into this, what kind of time mentors are contributing on average, we'll be able to develop a cost structure and use that to create our sponsorship package that goes out to our network of organizations and network of entrepreneurs and network of companies. And ideally, long-term, as we help entrepreneurs be successful, they look out for us and share some of the revenues for a given period of time. But we don't want to require that and that become a barrier to participation.
Right.
More requirements that we have up front, the less people we serve, and we want to serve more people up front.
So I have a little bit of an intermediary thought process here with that, and feel free to interject. But for example, I design websites, right? And I'm going to be a mentor on the program for people that maybe need support in that respect or need something to do with technology. And so if someone joins the program and they're like, I need a website, great. I can make a website for you. So there's as a real estate person or whatever business model you have, there might be opportunities that come up with these entrepreneurs where they can potentially purchase your service because you're building a relationship with them. And I don't know if that's an unethical thing. It's something that Sharon and Eric would have to decide. But that's certainly a way for you to find leads and be benefit from supporting people. Obviously, the first thing you'd want to do is be a supportive person without the need for financial gain, of course. But maybe there are opportunities within the system for the mentors to benefit.
Thanks, Lucas.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So also as this iterates, we'll be able to explore opportunities for revenue share. I mean, it could be something like, oh, you know, if you, as referrals happen within the network, maybe there's some way to negotiate something that makes sense for the entrepreneur. We want to make sure that we're setting entrepreneurs up for success, and we're not an additional burden. So right now, we're focusing on building the value and going to a sponsorship model. And as entrepreneurs can pay for that, then great. But in the long run, we may be able to do some kind of a revenue share for folks and entrepreneurs that it fits with. But hopefully we're providing enough value that these entrepreneurs just want to give back out of the gratefulness in their hearts.
Okay.
All good questions, all good questions. And if it seems like a lot of you all have great ideas about how this could come into fruition, we're setting the foundation with the committee structure, with the organization structure, with IRMa. IRMA is our friend. We're going to get to know her really, really well. And if you all are wanting to play a part in creating on top of this foundation and building more, then, you know, please consider joining one of the committees. Definitely please share this with other organizations that you think might be good. I think some of the consortiums that were mentioned would be wonderful to have view a presentation like this and then also join the orientation on the 21st. But we're starting simply. So simple steps moving forward. We got enough going on right now. How can we get folks in the door into these committees, and then the committees will have their simple marching orders and also be co-creating those directives as well.
Yep. That's what we're doing.
Any final thoughts, Sharon, or any other questions from folks?
No final thoughts. I just look forward to working with everyone from the entrepreneurs to the service organizations. I look forward to working with you all and how we can help the entrepreneurs.
And likewise, I'm also really, oh, we got a question here. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I know it's the nick of time. I just want to be sure that it's okay if you represent a different part of Wisconsin at this stage, like Northeast Wisconsin. Like if I would join a committee, that would be okay. And I can only speak for the entrepreneurs that I work with. And then of course invite them too if they would want to join.
Yes, absolutely. So even though most of us live in Dane County, and you know, we started in Madison, we're hoping that this is something that empowers the state. So yes, please. The more organizations we have in the library and our toolbox, and the more entrepreneurs that we're able to serve, the more information we get that tells us how to do that better. So please, you know, as you connect to those entrepreneurs and those organizations, bring them aboard and we'll get things churning.
Thanks, Mia. Okay.
Definitely. Great question. I can't see all of your hands. So I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anyone who wants to communicate. If so, please feel free to unmute yourself and jump in.
Okay, I think it looks good.
Okay, nothing in the chat. Great. So we're going to compile this presentation. It has been recorded. I think, yep, the light's still blinking. And we're going to make this available for you to support your sharing of this opportunity, so that you can help connect to more organizations or entrepreneurs. Hopefully we're keeping this at about an hour. So it's a long YouTube video, but it's a short introduction into a beautifully collaborative system. And I'm thankful that you all are interested in being a part of it. Please don't hesitate to reach out to Sharon Johnson. Our information is here, or email. And if you have not checked it out already, please go to economicempowermentwi.org to join the fam. With that being said, I appreciate you all mucho, and please have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Goodbye, everyone. Have a great one.